Hello everyone, and welcome to Base Watches. Let's be honest, not everyone can afford to spend hundreds of dollars on each new watch purchase, especially someone who is just getting into the watch collecting hobby and wants to spend $1,000 or so to build his or her first 3-watch collection. Fortunately, there are many of options in the sub $500 watch category. Here we've produced a list of the top automatic watches under $500 that should be on your radar and possibly in your collection. Nodus, a relatively young American watch brand, has swiftly gained recognition for its commitment to producing quality timepieces with a focus on design and craftsmanship. The case of the Nodus Retrospect II has a diameter of 40.1 mm. The lug-to-lug is 48.6 mm, and the overall thickness, including the double-dome sapphire crystal, I measured in at 12.9 mm. The entire case, caseback, bezel, crown, and bracelet are all 316 low-carbon stainless steel. The finish of the watch is mostly brushed, but with the addition of polished sides. The Retrospect II has a water resistance rating of 200 meters, thanks to the screw-down caseback and crown. The proportions of the watch are quite large, especially seeing that it's essentially a 40 mm diver. Dies is down to the relatively long lug-to-lug length of just under 49 mm. Straight out of the box, the Retrospect II comes fitted as standard with a gorgeous 22 mm stainless steel bracelet. It is one of the best bracelets I've seen on a sub $500 USD microbrand. Just everything about it is excellent. Female links for instant articulation, solid links throughout, screw pins for resizing, and a total of 6 micro adjustment holes to ensure that perfect fit. The chosen movement for this Nodus Retrospect II is the very reliable workhorse and microbrand movement of choice, the NH35 manufactured by Seiko. In conclusion, I want to make it quite clear, the Nodus Retrospect II is a fantastic dive watch, and if you've bought einen oder intend to buy einen in the near future, then congratulations, you made an excellent choice. Dan Henry, a brand founded by watch enthusiast and collector Dan Henry, has gained recognition for its vintage-inspired timepieces with a focus on affordable luxury. In the box, you get the watch on an ODM Tropic-style strap and a solid canvas and leather 3-watch roll. As far as the watch itself, it measures 40 mm across and about 46 mm lug-to-lug, with a thickness of just under 15 mm and a lug width of 22 mm. The thickness and lug width are shared with the 44 mm version, which make this watch feel proportionally a bit thicker. However, the domed mineral glass crystal makes up some of this thickness. Overall, with its short, slightly sloping lugs, the watch hugs the wrist nicely and should fit a variety of wrist sizes. The Tropic-style rubber strap is a little stiff at first but quite comfortable with a little wear. The dial is a nice matte black with a nicely framed white date window at 3 rectangular vintage lume indices and hands, and an orange chapter ring in seconds hand. Powering the watch is the stalwart Seiko NH35 with its 40+ hour power reserve, hand winding, and hacking. It's an altogether appropriate movement for this watch. Therein lies what is to me the crux of this watch. It's nothing fancy, but it just works. It's a great modern interpretation of a vintage form factor and design language made to fit a specific accessible price point. It's a watch designed by a deeply knowledgeable collector who knows exactly how to drive home exactly the right feel. The first thing most will notice when looking at the Bradner is the internal bezel and the distortion of the bezel from the curved sapphire crystal. While not a true super compressor watch, the internal rotating bezel and jewel crowns makes the Bradner a compressor-style dive watch. This alone helps the Bradner stand out from the crowd of under $500 dive watches. If you are unfamiliar with how an internal bezel operates, you will find it easy to use. There is a second crown at the 2 o'clock position that rotates in either direction to turn the internal bezel. There is no denying that the Bradner's 42 mm case is chunky. At 15 mm thick with a lug-to-lug of 51 mm, it is a large watch. While the Bradner does wear large, it is not uncomfortable. The lugs curve down and hug your wrist. This curvature helps the Bradner feel a tad smaller. With that said, the Bradner is a dive watch and is allowed to be big. The highly dependable microbrand movement of choice for the Spinnaker Bradner is the Seiko NH35, which is a highly reliable workhorse. There are pros and cons to the Bradner that are going to make this a love it or leave it watch for a lot of enthusiasts. Regardless of your opinion, there is no denying that the Bradner is built well, has an original look, and checks a lot of boxes for dive watch lovers. I have long been a fan of Raven watches, way back to when they started out sometime in 2010 I believe. These days, the brand is run solely by Steve Lawlin. For those that are not aware or have just missed it, that name might sound familiar. Steve used to be a part of Benares watches, but Steve now incorporates designs of both Raven and Benares watches into the new lineup, and this Raven Solitude is no different. Keeping things on the smaller side, this model comes in at 40mm by 47mm, a size that should be wearable by most. Think Rolex sub in terms of size. This watch is not a Rolex homage though in any way. Yes, it is a dive watch with somewhat similar hands and markers, but that is where the similarities end. The case shape, bezel, crown, and bracelet are very different and bring their own style to the market. The stainless and black Raven Solitude showed here is the most traditional looking of the bunch, but if it is too plain for you, check out their website for some more exciting color options such as a white dial, blue dial, green dial with gold accents. A few things were done to keep the price down on this watch, and one of them was the NH35 movement. I have discussed this movement ad nauseam. Nothing wrong with it at all, though it is much cheaper than higher-end Miyota, Salida, or ETA movements, of course. In conclusion, the Raven Solitude is likely to be a compelling timepiece for enthusiasts who appreciate vintage-inspired design and quality craftsmanship. As with previous versions, the black ion-plated stainless steel case of the Citizen Promaster Dive Automatic Few can be deceptive on paper, although nominally measuring in at 44mm wide. A series of clever case design decisions help this watch to wear more like a 42mm or even 41mm watch on the wrist. The first of these elements is the dramatically rounded case side undercut. The Few opts for a high visual belt line along the case sides, rendering everything below the upper edge of the case side in a sloping polished surface. Thanks to this bowl-like slope, the actual footprint of the case on the wrist is far smaller than a conventional 44mm wide design, and the polished surface helps to visually mask the overall width and thickness. In addition, the short, gently curving lugs help to minimize the lug-to-lug length of the Few, further emphasizing the compact feel. Citizen powers the Promaster Dive Automatic Few NMI 013709 with its in-house caliber 8204 automatic movement. As a stalwart presence in Citizen stable since the 70s, the Caliber 8204 is a solid, reliable entry-level platform that can be readily repaired and serviced with ease. The entry-level dive watch category is one of the most hotly contested spaces in the current market for a very good reason. The blend of utility, reliability, and style in this corner of the watch industry is undeniably compelling, and Citizen currently stands as one of the leaders in this competitive race.